Steve.
All right, we mentioned a lot of people traveling now with spring break and, of course, vacation season, summer travel approaching. And a lot of passengers might be wondering how to ensure a smooth and stress-free journey. So, enter the author of How to Avoid Strangers on Airplanes, Brandon Blewett, who is here with some expert tips on getting through your upcoming trips. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming in, Brandon.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so the title, first of all, I know it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but what were you going for here?
So it's actually a play on words. So the word stranger, a lot of people think of intruders, people that are in your way, but it also means, when you use it as an adverb, it means things that are shocking. And I thought there is no place that has more shocking human behavior than the airport and in air travel. So let's focus on the 6 habits of highly annoying travelers.
I've always said you go to an airport, it's some of the best people watching in the world, but you don't necessarily want to be there either because
right.
you're exhibiting some of the same behaviors as everybody else. You talked about the 6 annoying things. What are some of the things that rose at the top for you?
So I think the most common one is gate lice, and I think some of the airlines are actually trying to address it right now, but it's the people that they're in group 9 and they're sitting there blockading the boarding area. The most annoying one to me is the eager exiter. That's the last chapter in the book, and it's the person in row 18 that as soon as the seatbelt sign dings as the plane comes into the gate, they're up in the aisle with all their bags sitting there, and the people that are in front of them, they may have to go back, and all they do is wind up delaying the deplaning process.
Yeah, it's funny with the gate license, some airlines are trying to crack down on this. And you'll see sometimes somebody will be like, this is not your turn yet, right? You have to go back. As far as the early exit area, is there anything that they can really do about that?
You can't, because the flight attendants are generally getting ready to make sure that the gate agent is moving the jet bridge to the plane. They're making sure that the exit rows are debriefed. So I think that's where in the book I'm like, the best way to avoid these habits is to not do them yourselves. And maybe if people read it, they'll learn. Maybe stay seated until 1 or 2 rows in front of you are off the plane.
Yeah, we're just so eager to get off the plane. It could be a 45-minute flight or a 14-hour flight. We seem just as eager to get off the plane. I was mentioning to you in the break, I just took like 6 flights in the last week and a half. Every one of them was different. And that's where I think it's fascinating. And I'm curious to you, obviously, different behaviors come into play, but each experience is different too. So it's almost like flight roulette every time you go to the airport.
It is, and I think that I've noticed that I try to take cues from fellow passengers, and if someone is a bit agitated, just stay out of their way. Don't do things that are going to blow up the situation and make it worse, because at the end of the day, the people that have to deal with that are the crew, and that makes their work life pretty miserable. Yeah.
So you're still flying weekly. In your peak, you were flying a 250,000 miles a year, which is just,
insane.
Sounds crazy to be on a plane that much. What did you learn from all that? I know you put a lot of it into the book, but what did you learn from that maybe it'll help out people that only travel once or twice a year, if that?
So I learned 2 things. I think, one, I learned to look at myself in the mirror when I traveled, when I saw behaviors that annoyed me, make sure that I don't commit them myself. But then I also learned air travel really mirrors your career journey, and that's a big part of the book. And I'm very lucky. I love what I do right now, and I enjoy my work every day. But that's not to say there weren't delays, there wasn't turbulence, and almost times when it felt like the flight was canceled. And it's interesting to draw parallels between the two.
How much of it is a mental game, right? Because everybody, you don't want your flight to be delayed. You're always immediately think of worst possible scenario. Can we train ourselves to say, this is part of what we get for using this kind of transportation?
I don't know if it's train yourselves or you just get beat into submission. There becomes a day when there's endless delays, I laugh, and then when you see someone erupt into a tirade, it's like, man, you're about to be the next viral sensation, and for all the wrong reasons. So I don't know if you train yourself or you just kind of get numb to all the factors that can make it a nightmare.
You're like, I don't want to be part of that. And I also don't want to drive across the country, because that's going to take a lot longer than waiting out that delay to get there. The book is available now if you want to check it out. And there's Brandon's information if you want to follow him, the website, and of course on social media as well. Brandon, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Safe travels to you as well, and to everybody who might be headed out for spring break. Stephen?
All right, Steve, thanks, man. Appreciate the interview. That was great. Well, a new kind of hotel is set up to open in Las Vegas.